You probably know your own blood type. Maybe you got tested in school. Maybe you donated blood once. Maybe someone just asked you, "Hey, what type are you?" And you answered without thinking. And if you happen to be one of the people who answers with those two characters type O, then at some point in your life, you've probably heard this: you're the universal donor. You can give blood to anyone. You're the most valuable blood in the emergency room. It feels good to hear. But there's something doctors usually don't volunteer. That blood of yours? It's broken. It's the product of a gene that stopped working. A mutation. A defect. And here's the part that should stop you cold: that very defect is the reason your ancestors are alive. The reason you exist. Today we start with a question that floats around the internet now and then. Will type O blood eventually go extinct? It's rare, isn't it? So won't it just disappear someday? Let me answer that right now. The question is completely wrong. And if you follow why it's wrong, you'll end up staring at a verdict written into your own bloodstream tens of thousands of years ago. A verdict you survived. Let's start by killing that word. Extinct. Type O isn't rare. It's the opposite. It is the single most common blood type on Earth. Roughly 42% of all humans alive are type O. More than 1 in 3 people. And that's just the global average. Zoom into specific regions, and the numbers turn extreme. Among indigenous populations in South America, the frequency of type O approaches 100%. There are communities where almost no other blood type exists at all. In Nigeria, more than half the population is type O. Extinct is the wrong word for a blood type that has spread this far, this thoroughly. If you're type O, you are not a minority. You are the majority, an overwhelming one. So a natural thought follows. If it's this common, type O must be the original blood type. The oldest, the purest bloodline. The first hunters, before farming, before cities, surely they carried type O, the ancient blood. The internet is full of articles saying exactly this. Type O, the bloodline that predates civilization. And here the second myth collapses. The oldest blood is not type O. It's A and B. In 2012, a team of researchers compared the blood group genes of humans and other primates, chimpanzees, gorillas, gibbons, and they found something startling. The genetic difference that creates type A and type B blood didn't belong to humans alone. Chimpanzees had it too, and it descended from the same root as ours. By their estimate, the split between A and B reaches back at least 20 million years. Long before Homo sapiens ever walked the earth, the blood running through your veins was already old. Older than humanity itself. A chimpanzee swinging through the trees 20 million years ago could, in principle, carry the same blood antigen you carry today. So if A and B are the ancient ones, where does O come from? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Type O is what's left when the machine breaks. Your A and B blood types are built by an enzyme, a tiny molecular tool that attaches a specific marker onto the surface of your red blood cells. Type O happens when the gene that builds that tool is broken. In the most common version, a single letter of genetic code is deleted. One missing piece. The enzyme never gets made. No marker gets attached. The cell goes out into the world blank. That's it. That's type O. Not a pure ancient lineage, not a noble first bloodline. The most common blood on the planet is, at the genetic level, the most broken. A factory with the machine switched off. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. But O types are natural leaders. We're the strong ones. The personality charts say so. Well, the truth is stranger than any personality chart. If type O is strong, it has nothing to do with your temperament. It has to do with a 20-million-year-old gamble made by a disease that wanted you dead. Because I called this blood broken. But what if that exact break is the thing that kept your ancestors breathing? Here is where the story turns. Malaria. For most of human history, it has been one of the deadliest forces our species ever faced. And the worst of it comes from a single parasite, Plasmodium falciparum. When it infects you, it gets inside your red blood cells. And in the severe cases, those infected cells turn sticky. They clump together, jam the tiny vessels of your body, choke off the blood flow. Oxygen stops reaching the tissue. The result can be coma, brain damage, death. For thousands of years, this is how malaria killed. In 2015, researchers at the Karolinska Institute pinned down a key piece of how it does this. The parasite produces a protein called RIFIN. That protein travels to the surface of the blood cell and acts like glue. And here's the thing, it binds powerfully to type of blood cells. It grabs them, locks them together. builds the deadly clots that block your vessels. But to type O cells? It barely holds on. The glue doesn't stick. Sit with what that means. The same defect that left your type O cells blank, that missing molecular marker also left the parasite with nothing to grab. The broken gene that failed to build the marker accidentally removed the very thing malaria uses to kill you. So in places where malaria has stalked humans for thousands of years, something quiet and merciless happened across the generations. People with A and B blood were more likely to fall into a coma and die before they could have children. People with type O were more likely to survive and pass that blood on. Disease became a sculptor, and over thousands of years, it carved type O into the population. That's why more than half of Nigeria is type O. It isn't a coincidence. It's the fingerprint of malaria, written in blood. Your type O isn't broken. It's a survivor shaped by the deadliest disease in human history, which spent tens of thousands of years quietly choosing it. You'd think that's where the story ends. The triumphant defect, the blood that beat the parasite. But blood keeps no permanent winners. Because the very same trait that blank, unmarked surface turns into a liability against a different enemy. Cholera. When cholera infects someone, type O doesn't protect them. It betrays them. Studies have found that people with type O blood are far more likely to develop severe, life-threatening cholera. When the disease tore through Peru in 1991, individuals with type O were about 8 times more likely to end up hospitalized with severe cases. 8 times. And there's a map that proves it. The Ganges Delta, the low river country of Bangladesh and eastern India, has been haunted by cholera for centuries. It is one of the historic homelands of the disease. And it is also the place on Earth with one of the lowest frequencies of type O blood anywhere. Think about what that map is showing you. Malaria spent thousands of years building type O up. And in the Delta, cholera spent thousands of years tearing it back down. The same blood, the same trait, a shield against one disease, a wide open door for another. The very thing that saved your ancestors in one land would have killed them in another. Your blood type was never about you. It was about which disease your ancestors had to walk through. So let's go back to that emergency room. The universal donor, the most valuable blood on the table. Why is type O able to give to almost anyone? For the exact same reason it confused malaria. Because its cells are blank. There's no marker on the surface for another person's body to reject. The defect, the broken gene, the missing piece is precisely what lets type O blood pour into a stranger and save their life. The flaw is the gift. It always was. So look down at your own arm for a second. Those 2 characters in your medical file, they aren't your personality. They aren't your horoscope. They aren't a lucky charm. They are a verdict, a sentence handed down tens of thousands of years ago by a disease your ancestors had to survive in. You are descended from the ones who survived it. Will type O blood go extinct? Extinction is a question you ask about the weak, the fragile, the blood that couldn't make it through. Type O is the blood that already passed that test, tens of thousands of times over. Through fever and coma and centuries of death, it kept being chosen. It's not disappearing. It's the proof that something terrible came for your family long ago and lost.